What happens when a CEO ditches his suit, slips on a disguise, and steps into his own deli to uncover the truth? James Carter, the man behind Carter's Deli chain, was drowning in customer complaints, slow service, grumpy staff, a business slipping through his fingers. Reports from managers painted a perfect picture. But James smelled a rat. With a fake mustache, old cap, and a new name, Ethan, he walked into his busiest spot in Riverton Heights. What he heard from one worker left him stunned. Rethinking everything. Stick around for a wild ride. Drop your city in the comments below. And don't forget to like and subscribe. James Carter leaned back in his leather chair, staring at the clutter of emails and customer reviews piling up on his laptop. The glow of the screen reflected off his tired eyes. Carter's Deli, a chain of 10 cozy sandwich spots he'd built from the ground up over 12 years, was his baby. But lately, it felt more like a sinking ship. Service is a joke, one review read. Staff look like they hate their lives, said another. James rubbed his temples. His district manager swore everything was fine, sales were steady, schedules were tight, no red flags. But the complaints told a different story. And his gut screamed something was off. He'd tried fixing it the corporate way, emails, meetings, pep talks through the chain of command. Nothing stuck. The numbers looked okay. But the soul of the place? That was slipping away. Frustrated, James slammed his laptop shut. Enough, he muttered. If I want the truth, I'll get it myself. He grabbed his phone and dialed a friend, a makeup artist from his college theater days. Hey, Lisa, you still got those stage tricks up your sleeve? I need to disappear for a bit. 2 hours later, Lisa was gluing a scruffy mustache to his face, popping a worn baseball cap on his head, and handing him a faded jacket. Meet Ethan, she grinned. Nobody's clocking you as the CEO in this getup. James smirked at the mirror. It was perfect. 2 days later, James, now Ethan, pushed open the glass door of the Carter's Deli in Riverton Heights. A gritty, working-class corner of the city where the lunch rush drew everyone from construction workers to office drones. The bell jingled faintly over the hum of chatter and the sizzle of the grill. Nobody batted an eye at the new guy in the beat-up cap. James had picked this spot on purpose. It was the busiest, the beating heart of his chain. If something was rotten, he'd smell it here first. The manager, Tom Hayes, a wiry guy with a permanent scowl, barely glanced up from his clipboard. You the new trainee? He barked, tossing James an apron. Name's Tom, don't mess up, and we'll get along fine. Go shadow someone. No handshake, no welcome, just a curt nod toward the counter. James tied the apron on, suppressing a grin. Tom had no clue he was ordering around the guy who signed his checks. Most of the staff didn't. James had always kept a low profile, letting managers run the show while he crunched numbers from afar. Today, that distance was his advantage. He scanned the room. The place buzzed with activity, customers tapping toes in line, the clatter of trays, the sharp tang of rye bread and roast beef in the air. But something felt off. The staff moved like robots. Eyes down, no chatter. The energy was flat, like the life had been sucked out of it. James took a deep breath. Time to dig in. Tom paired him with Emily Nguyen, a young woman with dark hair pulled into a messy bun and shadows under her eyes. She flashed him a quick, warm smile despite looking like she'd been run ragged. Hey, I'm Emily, she said, her voice soft but steady. It's a zoo during lunch, but I'll walk you through it. Stick close. James nodded, falling into step behind her as she darted between the counter and the sandwich station. She moved fast but smooth, like she'd done this 1,000 times, which, he figured, she probably had. The lunch rush hit like a tidal wave. Orders piled up, customers grumbled about wait times, and the printer spat out tickets faster than anyone could keep up. Tom hovered in the back, barking commands. Faster. People, you're not on vacation, but never lifted a finger to help. James watched Emily weave through the chaos, apologizing to a guy in a hard hat when his order got mixed up, calming a mom with a fussy kid in tow. She was good, damn good, but she looked exhausted. By 2 p.m., the crowd thinned, and James realized Emily hadn't stopped once. No water, no breather, nothing. Curious, he leaned over as she wiped down the counter. Don't you get a lunch break? he asked, keeping his tone casual. Emily froze for a split second, then shrugged, her smile faltering. Oh, yeah, I didn't bring anything today. And eating here's kinda pricey. Even with the discount. She laughed it off, but her eyes darted away. Embarrassed, James felt like he'd been sucker punched. His own employee couldn't afford a sandwich at his deli? He didn't push it, just nodded and grabbed a rag to help her clean. But her words stuck with him, rattling around his head as he scrubbed. Emily kept working, humming softly to herself, oblivious to the storm brewing in the guy next to her. James clenched his jaw. This wasn't just a glitch, it was a crack in everything he'd built. And he was only getting started. The next morning, James rolled into Riverton Heights 15 minutes early, the crisp air carrying the faint scent of toasted bread from the deli's kitchen. He adjusted his cap in the car's rearview mirror, still Ethan to the world, and stepped inside. The place was quieter before the rush, just the clink of dishes and the low murmur of staff prepping. Emily showed up last, clutching a scuffed lunchbox, her eyes heavy but her smile intact. "Morning, Ethan," she said, brushing past him. Tom was already pacing, clipboard in hand, snapping at a delivery guy about a late drop-off. 2 minutes late? That's 2 minutes I don't have. James bit his tongue and headed for the dish station. Day 2 was underway. By noon, the deli erupted into chaos. The line snaked out the door, and the air buzzed with impatience, construction workers barking orders, office folks tapping watches. James shadowed Emily at the sandwich station, fumbling with rye slices while she flew through tickets like a pro. "Turkey on wheat, no mayo, got it," she'd call out, her hands a blur. Tom stayed in the back, yelling about speed but dodging the front line. James caught snippets of grumbling from the crew, a cashier muttering, "He's all talk, no hustle," a cook rolling his eyes at another barked order. Emily, though, kept her cool, even flashing a grin at a regular who thanked her for remembering his usual. But James could see it, she was running on fumes. Halfway through the rush, an older woman shuffled in, leaning on a cane, her voice barely cutting through the noise. "Can someone help me? I just need a little something." The line pressed forward, oblivious, and Tom didn't budge from his perch. Before James could react, Emily was moving. She slipped out from behind the counter, crouched beside the woman, and smiled. "Hey there, what can I get you?" The woman's face softened. "Just a ham sandwich, dear, nothing fancy." Emily nodded, darted back to whip it up herself, and brought it out with a cup of water she didn't charge for. "Here you go, take your time," she said, guiding her to a corner table. James watched, a lump forming in his throat. That kind of care wasn't in the manual, it came from somewhere deeper. But Tom clocked it too. He stormed over as Emily returned to her station, his voice sharp. "What was that? You don't leave your post in the middle of a rush." Emily didn't flinch, she needed help. "Tom, it took 2 minutes." He jabbed a finger at her. 2 minutes screws everything up. Focus on the line, not playing hero. James gripped the counter, heat rising in his chest. Emily just nodded, lips tight, and went back to work. The deli hummed on, but the exchange hung heavy in the air. The rush was winding down when a small figure slipped through the door, a boy. Maybe 9, in a faded hoodie, clutching a crumpled $5 bill. He tiptoed to the counter, voice shaky. Can I get something small? I'm really hungry." Emily leaned down, her exhaustion melting into something softer. "Hey, bud, what do you like?" He hesitated. "Anything. This is all I got." James saw her glance at the register, then back at the kid, a flicker of decision in her eyes. She didn't punch in an order. Instead, she grabbed a fresh roll, piled on turkey and cheese, tossed in a bag of chips and a soda, and slid it across. "Here you go, no charge today. Eat up, okay?" The boy's face lit up like Christmas. "For real? Thank you." He scampered off with his haul, and James felt his heart twist. But Tom had eyes like a hawk. He barreled out from the back, red-faced. "Emily, are you kidding me? Free food? This isn't a soup kitchen." She squared her shoulders. It was one sandwich. Tom, he was starving. Tom scoffed. "1 sandwich today, 10 tomorrow. Whose paycheck's that coming out of?" James stepped forward, voice low but firm. "Lay off. Tom, it's a kid." Tom wheeled on him, sneering. "Stay in your lane, rookie. You don't run this joint." James held his glare but stayed quiet. Not yet, he thought. Emily turned away, her hands trembling as she wiped down the counter. The warmth she'd shown the kid was gone, replaced by a quiet strain. James wanted to say something, but he swallowed it. He needed more time, more proof this wasn't a one-off mess. The rest of the day dragged like molasses. James stuck close to Emily, helping where he could, stacking trays, refilling the cooler, anything to lighten her load. She didn't complain, didn't slack, just powered through with that faint hum she'd had the day before. But he caught the cracks, the way her shoulders slumped when Tom snapped at a cashier for a wrong order, the way the crew flinched at his voice. Near closing, James overheard two cooks by the grill. Jess quit last week, one whispered, said she couldn't handle Tom's crap anymore. The other sighed, can't blame her, he's been a bear lately. James felt a knot tighten in his gut. Turnover? Quitting over Tom? He'd never seen that in the reports, just staff adjustments. Clean and vague. As he took out the trash, he spotted Tom outside, pacing with his phone. Yeah, it's been a grind, Tom said, voice low. Crew's lazy. Gotta crack the whip or nothing gets done. James froze. Lazy? Emily was breaking her back out there, and Tom was spinning a story. He slipped back inside, mind racing. This wasn't just a bad manager. This was a rot eating at his deli's core. By the time the lights dimmed and the last customer left, James knew tomorrow wasn't just another shift. It was reckoning day. James arrived at the Riverton Heights deli before dawn, parking a block away to clear his head. The weight of 2 days, Emily's quiet struggle, Tom's heavy hand, the kid with the $5, pressed on him like a storm cloud. He adjusted his cap one last time in the rearview mirror. But today wasn't about Ethan. It was about fixing what he'd let break. He walked in as the crew trickled through the employee entrance. Emily with her battered lunchbox, the cooks trading tired nods. Tom was already at the register, barking at a new hire to quit dawdling. James took a deep breath and got to work, biding his time. The lunch rush hit hard. Same as always, chaos. Shouting, the grill sizzling. James stuck by Emily, watching her juggle orders with that steady grace. Then it happened. A young mom with a toddler in tow fumbled her wallet, dropping coins across the counter. Tom snapped from the back. Speed it up, people, we're not a daycare. Emily knelt to help the woman scoop up the change, whispering, don't worry, I've got you. Tom stormed over, face twisted. Emily, stop babysitting and do your damn job. The room went quiet, customers glancing over. Emily stood, pale but firm. I was helping her. Tom, she's a customer. James felt the fuse burn out. He stepped between them, voice steady. That's enough. Tom sneered. Back off. Rookie, you don't call shots here. James pulled off his cap and mustache, letting them hit the floor. I do. Actually, my name's James Carter, I own this place. The deli froze. Emily's jaw dropped. A cook gasped, and Tom's scowl melted into shock. Wait, what? Emily whispered. James locked eyes with Tom. I've seen enough. You're out. Effective now. Clean your locker and go. Tom stammered. You can't just, I can. James cut in, and I did. Tom grabbed his stuff and bolted, the door slamming behind him. James turned to the stunned crew, hands raised to calm the buzz. Hold up, everyone, I owe you an explanation. I came here undercover because I knew something was wrong, customer complaints, bad vibes, and I couldn't trust the reports. What I found was worse than I imagined. But it's not your fault. You've been carrying this place despite everything. He looked at Emily, still wide-eyed. Especially you, Emily. You've gone above and beyond, helping customers, keeping this team together, even when it's been hell. I'm sorry it took me this long to see it. She blinked, voice shaky. Me? I just did my job. James shook his head. No, you did more. That kid yesterday, the lady today. You've got heart. This deli's been missing. I want you to run this place. Manager, starting now. If you'll take it. Emily's mouth fell open. Me? I don't know if I'm ready. You are, James said firmly. You've been running it already. Just without the title or the pay. Say yes. Tears welled in her eyes as she nodded. Okay, thank you. The crew clapped, a few whooping, and James felt the air shift, lighter, hopeful. He faced the team. Things changed today. Every one of you gets a free meal per shift. No more skipping lunch because you can't afford it. Breaks are mandatory, not optional. And hard work gets rewarded, not ignored. This deli's yours as much as mine. We're fixing it together." Smiles broke out, tentative at first, then wide. Emily wiped her eyes and laughed. "Guess I'd better get used to giving orders." "Huh?" James grinned. "You'll define." 2 weeks later, James walked back into the Riverton Heights deli, no disguise. Just a plain jacket and jeans. The bell jingled, and heads turned. "Hey, it's the boss," a cook called. Waving, the place felt alive, staff joking as they prepped. Customers chatting over sandwiches. The tension of before replaced by something warm. Emily, in a crisp manager's apron with her name stitched on it, was coaching a new hire at the register. She spotted James and lit up. "You're back." He waved her over to a table. "Just checking in. How's it going?" She beamed. "Night and day. The free meals, the breaks, everyone's happier. Even the regulars say it feels different." James nodded, glancing around. A kid at the counter laughed with the cashier, new guy. "Confident already. You're killing it, Emily. The team's solid." She hesitated, then said, "Oh, that boy from before? He came back with his mom last week. She thanked me. Said they'd hit a rough patch. Felt good to help." James smiled. "Throat tight. That's what this place should be." Before he left, he slipped her an envelope. A bonus, for stepping up when it mattered most. Her eyes widened at the check. "James, this is too much." "It's not," he said. "You earned it. Use it however you want." She hugged him, quick and fierce, and he laughed. As he walked out, sandwich in hand, one he insisted on paying for, James felt a quiet pride. Carter's Deli wasn't just a business anymore. It was a promise he'd keep. What do you think of James's journey? Could your workplace use a shake-up like this? Drop your thoughts below, and tell us your city. Don't forget to like and subscribe for more stories that hit home.